Interesting. There's a lot to unpack there with Mike Jones and Jim Trotter.
Boo.
No,
Hey,
boo.
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 I'll leave that for Natalie. That's all you. That's all you. Mike Jones, what do you think of this move for Eric Bieniemy? I love it for him being an assistant head coach and offensive coordinator for the Washington Commanders. What do you think of the move for him?
I don't love it because he should be a head coach of his own team right now. I don't love it because he's gone to a situation where it's one of the most dysfunctional franchises in the whole league that he's got to coach at to get an opportunity to prove what he can do. I guess if he's able to have success there, then there are no excuses because you're working in a situation where you've got an awful owner and maybe he's on his way out and changing hands, and you don't know if Ron Rivera has any long-term stability, security. You don't know who your quarterback is. There are just all these questions swirling around him. And so if he can succeed there, he can succeed anywhere. But he shouldn't have had to go to this place
no question.
to prove himself.
And I'm glad you said that. And Jim and I talked about this last week, that people are going to move the goalposts. Owners that don't want to hire him, even if he goes out and turns Sam Howell into Sammy Ball, there's still going to be some excuse, those that want to make those excuses. Having said that, the reason I said there was something to unpack is like, I hope he goes somewhere and gets a chance to run the show. Well,
right.
if there was a cap on his influence, and that's not to discredit anything he did in Kansas City, but if there was a cap on his influence and there's room to grow, I do like him going someplace where he will get all the credit. It ain't going to Ron Rivera. He will get all the credit. There won't be any qualifying the success that the Washington's offense, if any, experiences under Eric Bieniemy, and he has the assistant head coach title. So even if he shouldn't have to go this route, Jim, it is good for his resume. I'm trying to look at the bright side here for Eric Bieniemy in terms of his career path.
Mike, I'm going to say this to you. I said this to you last week that I felt he had to go simply to get out from under Andy's shadow for the sake of those who want to use that as an excuse. Not that it should matter at all. But I'm going to say this to you. I don't think it matters what he does in Washington. I think the die has been cast. I think these owners have made up their mind on Eric Bieniemy for whatever reason. And I just think that this whole thing is ridiculous and is a farce. This may be good for Eric, but it is bad for the league in terms of the image that is being presented about how it feels about black coaches. So 5 years as an offensive coordinator, 5 AFC championship game appearances, 3 Super Bowl appearances, 2 championships, 2 MVPs for the quarterback, as well as Super Bowl MVPs. And you're telling me that that still isn't good enough for you to get an opportunity as a head coach. And we're looking around, seeing who all the others are being hired right now, who they are. So from that standpoint, again, I think this is good for Eric in terms of being able to run his own shop, being able to put together his own staff, all of those things. But I believe that the die has been cast, and I don't think these owners are ever going to hire Eric head coach. I believe he is the modern-day Sherm Lewis.
And I think
you might be right about that. Sorry, Natalie, real quick. You might be right about that. I pray you're not right about that. Just to be clear, y'all know y'all preaching to the choir. We all look at this issue in the same regard with the same level of frustration. But in the meantime, all Eric Bieniemy can do is continue to move forward and seek out opportunities to grow. And this does seem like a growth opportunity. Not that he should need it, but it does seem like a growth opportunity. And who's to say how things play out in Washington or anywhere else where one day maybe he had to wait too long. Maybe he's not the modern day Sherm Lewis. Maybe he's Tony Dungy. And maybe he's somebody who had to wait longer than they should have, but they end up getting, just as a for instance. So in a world in which I should not have any optimism, Natalie, I should not have any optimism about Eric Bieniemy's opportunity if he hasn't seen it already. Maybe, just maybe, he ends up being a head coach and is a better prepared head coach than he otherwise would have been because of what's before him in Washington, is what I'm trying to say.
Can I just jump in 1 sec before Nat speaks? And I hate to cut Nat off, but here's the thing, like what Mike Jones said. He is going to what has been a dysfunctional franchise, which we know is potentially up for sale. So if a new owner comes in a year, let's say, and says, you know what, I want my own guy. Now what? Eric's out on the street. He's someplace else. He doesn't even get the opportunity to do the things that we're talking about. This whole thing stinks to me. I'm just being frank with you. I'm so tired of it.
That's real.
Saying lesser
That's
qualified.
real.
I know. I'm sorry, but Nat, go
That's
ahead.
real.
I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, that's real.
You
Go
didn't
ahead,
cut
Nat.
me off. I guess where I'm concerned, and I don't want to be like a skeptic because I've kind of been that all day today, but it's just the upside to me doesn't feel that real. If it sounds like a lateral move that's being dressed up a little bit, and then also I feel like the downside of it is a much bigger risk, because if for some reason he fails and it doesn't go well, and that's not what I want, I hope the best for him, but if it does, it's going to be confirmation bias. It's going to be, see, this is what we thought. That's who
But
he
if he
is.
fails, he was never going to get the job anyway, right, Natalie? I mean, we've already determined that they've already made up their minds about him. So what's the downside if he fails?
Who knows, a worse position, or just not, he was already in Kansas City. We've talked on the show about them potentially being a dynasty. You've left Patrick Mahomes to go to this situation. There's nothing about this that feels better to me. It just, I'm really frustrated by it. I don't really like the move, but he obviously did what's best for him. So I just hope the best for him.
Yeah, why couldn't you have gone somewhere like Baltimore, where you've got a quality quarterback? Why did it have to go to a desperate franchise that's in awful shape? Why couldn't it have been somewhere where he's going into a quality situation and have an opportunity to prove himself? That's just, I was hoping when it seemed like the mind was made up, Andy kind of seemed like was making it sound like he was already going to move on. I just wished it could have been in a situation where he had something quality to work with, whether it's work magic with Kyler Murray or work magic with Lamar Jackson or something like that, instead of the scraps that you got in DC.
Hey, thank you for watching Brother from Another. If you haven't hit that subscribe button, go ahead and do that now. Don't forget, you can catch us 3 to 4 weekdays on PeacockTV.com and on Sirius XM Channel 85.